Then, of course, the city collects your garbage twice a week, your rubbish once a week, and disposes of it by sanitary methods.
A fat guy eats
Now,
it.
if it weren't for that service, any modern city would soon become a shambles.
Like Shambles, Iowa. It's a dump.
Guys, I'm an auditor from Iowa. If I loved that Rihanna halftime show, so can you. Hashtag Super Bowl. These are the words of the highest ranking Democrat in the state of Iowa. State Auditor Rob Sand. He loved the Rihanna halftime show. And sorry, he actually said hashtag Rihanna as well. So it probably showed up under the trending topic of Rihanna on Super Bowl night.
So the thing about Super Bowl halftime shows is they usually choose someone who has kind of like a broad appeal to like a large section of the people who are tuning in to the Super Bowl. So I know there were a few people complaining, but I don't think that was like the majority opinion or anything that really warranted reacting to.
No,
Yeah.
it may have been the majority opinion of the kind of people that Rob pays attention to.
Yeah,
Conservatives.
that's fair. Yeah. That's how he's going to win re-election, by hitching his ride to Rihanna.
Honestly,
Good work.
I'm kind of surprised that he didn't take the bold stance of trying to reach across the aisle and say, I agree, she should not be seen in public when she's pregnant.
Yeah, that's right.
As a recently pregnant person, how did you feel about Rihanna's performance, Stella?
Would you have been able to do that, Stella?
Oh, absolutely not. I didn't watch it. I was interested in what songs she would perform, but
It was like a medley. I think she did like 12 songs in like 13 minutes. I don't usually pay too much attention to the Super Bowl halftime, but I did immediately when they had like this like big raised floating platforms. I was like, this looks like a Super Smash Brothers stage. Like she's performing on Final Destination. And then of course, a million people made that same joke and immediately got 100,000 likes and all that. So
that could have been you.
It was funny though. Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
This is Rock Hard Caucus, by the way. This is our 106th episode. This is the number one podcast for auditors from Iowa who love the Rihanna halftime show.
We should find other auditors in Iowa and ask them their opinion about the Rihanna halftime show.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, he didn't specify, like, I'm the auditor.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of auditors.
He said, I'm an auditor. Yeah, there are others.
Yeah.
They just don't rank as highly as him.
I work for a blood-sucking financial corporation, so there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
In blood-sucking financial corporations.
Use your work email to ask all of the auditors that work at your company. What do you think of the Rihanna halftime show?
And make sure that they specify that they live in Iowa as well, just in case there's any remote workers.
So the reason I opened with some Rob Sand material is, if you're not a regular listener, you may have missed this, but we did receive an email from some sort of agent, some publicity agent for Rob, asking if he could come on our podcast. I assume she sent this to a lot of different podcasts without looking into any of them at all to see if maybe Rob Sand had a problem with any of them like ours. I did, of course, respond to that email and say, yes, we'd love to have Rob on, but then we were ghosted. Never heard back. This was at least like 2 months ago now. I don't know. But he did actually go on a podcast recently.
You know, I did some recent digging because I keep getting emails from Rob Sand fundraising. He actually sent another one after, we talked about it in our group chat, but there was a email I got on like Thursday that was like asking for $5,000 for a recount because like there is, I guess they had to account for extra money for the recount of the votes and stuff. And he's like asking for money, and then he like followed up again asking for, he's like, we only raised $1,500. We still have $3,000 of this bill that we need to pay. So then I was looking through his financial reporting and all that stuff and all of his family members. He gave him ridiculous amounts of money. I don't know if we mentioned this on the last one, but his father-in-law, Nixon Lordson of the Lordson Group, also gave like $95,000 to Kim Reynolds in 2018 and then $25,000 to Kim Reynolds in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
2022.
That's how you butter both sides of your bread.
Yeah. That's the target audience for someone like Rob.
I mean, I guess it's not surprising. It's just like, it still feels shocking despite knowing that he's that kind of guy. Of course, he is giving to both sides.
So what I was going to say is I looked into like his expenditures from like since the election, and they've been giving a lot of money to this DC consulting firm called Break Something. So I'm wondering if this
Limp Bizkit's playing in my head.
Yeah, so I looked into him briefly, and it doesn't seem too. I mean, it seems pretty standard Washington D.C. consultant stuff. Like, we're gonna get your progressive candidates the most. What's the emails opened, whatever, all those like dumb metrics they have for like engaging their demographic audience, their targeting or whatever. Anyway, I just thought it was funny. It's called Break Something.
Yeah.
And I'd like to find out what other candidates they're working with, but I didn't look into it that far. If anyone knows, hit us up.
Break Something. Who's Break Something helping out? So that's good context for what we're going to listen to on our podcast today. We're going to be listening to a podcast. I know it's kind of absurd, but listen, we offered it to him and he didn't even respond to us, and then he went on this show called The Moderate Party instead. So that's what he gets. You had the opportunity to talk to us directly, so now we're just going to listen to you talk to someone else on our podcast.
Yeah, there we go. And now you don't even get a chance to respond.
So I've got some clips pulled from The Moderate Party, the show that Rob went on. Which
is not an actual party, is it?
I don't think so. I think it's just the name of a podcast. Much like the Rock Hard Caucus is not a real caucus.
I mean, it sounds like the Andrew Yang thing. What was that? The Forward Party, I believe. Mm-hmm. Not left or right, but forward. Kind of like
and always
the third way.
Twirling. So what is this podcast, Justin? The Moderate.
Well, it's not a major thing. Here, I didn't write down anything, so I have to actually pull it up to remember anything about it. As you can imagine, a podcast about being moderate does not make a big impression on its listeners.
Yeah.
ModeratePartyPodcast.com is their website. Moderate Party is a political podcast for moderates, centrists, and independents. The host's name is Hillary Lombard. It's Hillary spelled with an I at the end instead of a Y. And she interviews conservatives, liberals, politicians, journalists, activists, educators, and anyone else who has a good idea for improving our country.
Okay. Sounds cool.
Yeah, and she's based in California, it looks like, now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we weren't a big enough fish, even though we are dedicated to the state of Iowa. For Rob Sand and his publicist.
True.
Yeah, I'd like to see how many
state
Iowans are listening to the Moderate Party podcast.
I'll say that I don't recognize any of the other guests as I'm scrolling through the episodes here. We've got Rob Sand, we've got Sean Healy, John Ralston, who I think is from Nevada.
That one sounds familiar.
Debbie Cox Bolton, Erica Young, David Pepper. That's a funny name, David Pepper. But anyway, it's a show for people who don't have strong opinions either way. So isn't that exciting? Let's listen to Hillary Lombard introducing the episode, talking a little bit about Rob. And so it'll give you an idea of her opinion of the man before she even started talking to him.
This is by far one of my favorite conversations that I've had since starting the show, and I really don't want to give too much away. But I will tell you that Rob is something really special. Talking to Rob is weird because it's like talking to the past and the future at the same time. He has a humanity to him that feels out of place
like a
in
baby.
Today's politics.
What is like 40?
But an optimism and an ambition that could only point towards the future. But not just any future. The future that I want for the country. Rob embodies a lot of what we need desperately in this moment. He's pragmatic, he's not polarizing, he's moderate, and he's not going to put you to sleep. Promise.
Okay.
He's not going to put you to sleep.
No. We need a wet noodle to throw on the fires that others more divisive than he continue to stoke.
So you can tell she's a big fan going into this. He's like talking to the future and the past at the same time. But this is a lot more exciting. This is their intro music.
I'm your host, Hillary Lombard, and this is Moderate Party. Let's get started. Rob Sand, thank you so much for joining us on Moderate Party today.
Let's get some morning zoo sound effects for Rob Sand.
Rob Sand, built Ford tough.
Presented by Man Cow.
Pragmatism, yeah.
Rob Sand, you're talking to Hillary Lombard, the killer. The third caller gets to shoot you with a paintball gun.
Okay, so she asked him this question. This is kind of how they started. She asked him if growing up in a small town had any kind of impact on him as an adult, serious politician.
What impact do you think that has on you?
Huge. I massive. You know, the saying is always you can take, the blank out of the blank, but you can't take and then you do it the other way around.
Yeah.
I think that's totally true.
Such an engaging speaker.
You can't take the blank out of the blank. And as a reminder, he's from Decorah, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
I empathize with that, though. I often struggle to come up with phrases on the podcast. It's hard to think on your feet sometimes.
You know how what they say, you can blank the blank, but you don't blank the blank.
Yeah. That should become our new carte blank for, when we start trailing off and, blank.
The blank, the blank, blank, blank. Here he makes a really funny reference to a TV show.
And I worked with, business owners and community members and high schoolers and elected officials and local, like the Leslie Knope of Decorah, Iowa. Rick Edwards was his name.
Leslie Knope.
You can't just say he's the Parks and Rec director of Decorah. You have to.
Yeah,
we
really are.
A reference to that show.
It really is like looking into the past, talking to Rob Sand.
Yeah.
Talks about sitcoms from 15 years ago.
That like everyone has
Network
like
television.
reevaluated and like determined that like the politics in it were like really bad and like
Yeah, well, not
Again,
everyone.
well, right, yeah, the kind of like cloying politician like Rob Sand is gonna hitch his ride to that. It makes
Absolutely,
sense.
yeah. He's sticking with that kind of thing. They were talking about one of his earliest achievements, I guess, in the political arena was getting the city of Decorah to build a skate park.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting connection to today, where his father-in-law built a skate park in Des Moines.
Yeah, which I think he said that he like specifically lobbied to get him that. Which it makes sense because another thing about the Lordsons is that he married. My sister went to Simpson. I guess I can say that. Simpson College in Indianola, and she was in the music department. And one of the opera teachers or professors married Nixon Lordson. And that's also part of the reason why the Des Moines Opera House, or whatever it's called, is Lordson branded as well. So I guess it's good that they're generous, generous
So
with the arts, and skateboarding is an art too. So
Yeah.
If you're an Iowan and you want to affect real change in the state, you have to marry into this family. That is the fastest, most effective way to get your agenda furthered.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, that's one of the few things, like in our current system, that's one of the few things an obscenely rich person is good for, is you get them to want to spend their money on things that you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another thing about Nixon... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
They're here to be manipulated. That's all I was going to say.
Okay. I was going to say another thing that's interesting about Nixon Lordson is that he had a $5 million yacht that was under construction for like 2 years that completely capsized like while it was being constructed. So yeah,
Good
I mean,
for the yacht. Working
I
class
assume you
hero,
can-
the yacht.
I assume you can write that off on your taxes if you buy a yacht and then it sinks into the ocean.
Yeah, there's always an escape hatch for large purchases like that.
Yeah. It's one of the most popular write-offs.
I'm sure you
the
had it
1%.
insured anyway, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
There's videos of it too. Gosh, I gotta find the name of the yacht because you can find it. Oh, it's Baden. Baden. If you're curious about that. It says it's 10 million here. Anyway,
That's a lot of money.
that's a lot of money. Never
The
seen that
name
money.
of the yacht is Baden? What does that mean?
I believe it is. Oh, motor yacht Baden. It says Blood Baron. But I don't know if this is the right. Motor yacht Baden. What's EX Blood Baron? I don't know what that means. I assume it's a German thing.
Blood Baron. Well, while you're looking for more information, I'm going to play another clip. I call this one Small Town Person.
Do you still define yourself as a small town person?
Yes, I went out east for college.
Oh, do you?
I went out east for college. Is
Yeah.
there a reason he's not just saying the name of the college? Would that maybe
Yeah.
undermine his
Yeah.
answer to the question?
I went out east for college.
Yeah, he went to Brown, which is
Yes.
an Ivy League school. I mean, that's what I initially thought. Is he not saying the name of the school he went to because he wants to put out the image that he's a small town person? But he does say specifically that he went to Brown 34 minutes after this, so he's not trying to hide that information.
Update on Baden. It's a German verb for to bathe, which is really apt if that's...
The yacht sank.
Yeah, right. It took a bath.
No further enlightenment on what Blood Baron means.
I think it might have been I don't know. Maybe that was a different yacht. I just searched for Baden yacht, and that's what it said.
Yeah. This clip's a little longer. I called it accountability at the top.
We should be going after wringing out every ounce of waste, fraud, and abuse, holding people accountable from positions of trust and power when they abuse that trust and power, and really making sure that we can maintain and at this point rebuild trust in this system. And so to me, I love the idea of trying to focus on having good processes, better processes, and having accountability for people in positions of trust and power. Because I think that so often we pick on the folks at the bottom of the rung. And, everyone there, we want to have accountability for everybody. But if we're going to have accountability for everybody, the place where we, I think, seem to miss it right now, where we need it most, is actually the people at the top.
So there was a phrase in there that seemed to perk your ears up, Evan. When he said, "We pick on the folks at the bottom of the rung."
Yeah. Well, I think Rob Sand does his fair share of that, I would say. I know he did get the Iowa lottery guy. That's like one of the ones that he always
Yeah.
talks about. That one, I guess, would, maybe count for what he's saying. And I agree with what he's
He
saying.
co-wrote a book about that.
But Rob Sand does seem to punch down a lot. Well, or just like highly publicize the cases where he's going after like some small town public official who ends up like laundering or embezzling like $10,000 or $15,000. Probably because they're already very poorly paid to begin with. I know I can't remember the specifics, but I know some of the people listening will remember that, Rob Sand had went after a public employee, I think, who made like something like $10 an hour part-time or something. Also the thing where he's like, I think we mentioned on the last podcast about the new public school law, where he was talking about the money for private schools being unaccounted for after it's paid out, and then that might be used to buy teachers Ford Mustang convertibles. That seems like punching down to me. I don't know. I feel like maybe the administrators are probably the people that are really going to benefit the most from that sort of thing. But yeah, he really likes to publicize that, and then him going after, like I said, just small town embezzlers.
Yeah, he's often targeting the, as he called it, the bottom of the rung. Which now that I'm examining that a little closer, bottom of the rung?
And I think he does it for the same reason, because it's like red meat to conservative people, and they're like, this is our tax dollars, stuff like that. It's like,
right.
It's like a
and
drop in the bucket,
hate the poor.
Right, yeah, they hate the poor.
The lazy freeloaders embezzling our tax dollars.
Clinging to that bottom run.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet that there's a lot more abuse and fraud happening in the Iowa government that we don't know about, that is not getting prosecuted or investigated.
Yeah, it's not just a clerk like stealing money out of the till, which is easy to track and easy to prosecute because, you know, what defense do they have?
Yeah, it's not hard to catch those kind of things.
Yeah. But Stella, you said the phrase correctly, the bottom rung. Because that's about a ladder and rungs of a ladder, not the bottom of the rung. Sorry, maybe I'm picking on this a little too much, but bottom of the rung.
We get it. You hate him.
The blank of the blank.
Yeah.
Here's another clip.
I was excited to talk to you because I think that you're one of the few Democratic figures that's making a big point out of fiscal responsibility.
Yeah. And I don't get why not.
Is he?
Everyone likes that. Fiscal responsibility, whatever that means. It's not like there's it's like a euphemism or anything for like more austerity. But
he's one of the few.
Yeah,
you never hear anyone talking about this.
Yeah, Democrats never talk about fiscal responsibility when they tell you that they can't pay for the programs that would actually help people. They never use that as a cop-out.
All right, this is another longer one, but this is probably what people are wondering the most. Like, the question they would like to ask Rob Sand the most. And I think he dodges answering this most of the time.
Breakfast pizza?
Yes, it's which gas station has the best pizza is what she asks me here.
So why didn't you run for governor?
I am
long pause.
I am new in this job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a step back here. Politics is stupid. Campaigns are way too long. The decision-making time for campaigns, is like way before election day.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I was still like, 2.5, 3 years into my new job, being state auditor, which is a job I enjoy. I like it very much. I like what I'm doing. I don't feel like I need to change what I'm doing. And in addition to that, again, I think I already mentioned our kids. They're 6 and 8.
Right.
Hillary, it's awesome right now.
They're the best age.
If you think about they are. If you think about it this way, this is my mantra. And I remind myself this when I'm thinking about what I'm going to do and what's my week going to look like. I'm like, no diapers, no naps, no teenagers. I can do. We are in the eye of the hurricane. We've gone through the hard part, and the next hard part will come. But right now, sunny skies, life is good. I want to be here. I want to enjoy this. I want to have a chunk of this where I can be I'm this is really good.
Wait.
And that's super important to me.
So he wants to run for governor and be governor when his children are at their worst. And he doesn't have to spend as much time with them. He wants to be governor when they're teenagers, is what he's saying here. When he thinks
what it sounds like.
They're going to be terrible.
That's That's what he's saying. What I'm hearing is this wasn't a good year to run, and I didn't think I could win this year, and I needed to bide my time. And
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's really choosing his words very carefully.
Yeah, you can tell by how much he's pausing and going,
yeah.
I like my job? But yeah, he can't say the real answer, which is that he would have lost. It's a bad year for it.
What conditions do you think have to be met for him to run? Because I think he really does hate. He would hate to lose. He would really, really, really really hate to lose.
It would, it would prevent his aspirations from coming. I mean, who knows what his ultimate aspirations are, but I mean, considering how many times his name has been floated for governor, it's like he wants that for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think he was basically using his family money to jumpstart his career. Now he's trying to transition into a more sustainable model of campaigning. And that's why he's still continuing to send fundraising emails after the election is over, just to like keep his name out there, keep his fundraising up. I mean, obviously he's been going hard to bat for the caucuses. I think he just wants to keep just increasing his relevance to the party, especially being the only elected Democrat too. I just think he's biding his time until he can get more eyes on him, more name recognition, better fundraising.
And we gave him a lot of...
That's why he went on a Californians podcast, is to get some
yeah, that's true.
attention.
They do those out-of-state donations add up.
Yeah. Sorry, Stella.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point. I wonder what kind of outreach he's doing to other states, like when we get emails or whatever for candidates in the South or whatever.
He's an ex-Beto.
The emails write themselves. Like, our poor caucuses, they took it away from us. I'm the only elected Democrat in Iowa. Like, I need your help. Otherwise, Iowa's going to turn into a red shithole. I mean,
he is an ex-Beto.
Yeah.
The skateboarding and everything.
Yeah, he really is.
He's going to be on the cover of Vogue.
Yeah.
He's already been a model.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever talked about that on the show, but yeah, he was like a child model, teen model or something.
In like Europe too, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a weird Twitter account that's like a parody of that.
We gave him a lot of shit during his campaign for how many emails and how much his messaging was around fundraising and how much his seat was in danger, because it really seemed like he was a pretty safe bet. But he won by a pretty slim margin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even despite all that. Yeah, like his, I can't even remember, Todd Halber, right? Todd Halber was his Republican opponent. He had no like party support.
Yep.
And he almost won anyway.
Yeah.
Like
that's how bad it is in Iowa for Democrats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he certainly would have lost if he ran for governor. Like,
no chance.
Dude, those modeling pictures are so good. But I had to go to the Iowa Field Report to get them.
Yeah, that's why I'm suspicious of that Twitter account, because it seems like it's run by like a right.
Yeah, well, that's not the reason why we don't like Rob Sand. I mean, that's actually one of the coolest things he's done, dude.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
kinda
there's nothing
like
wrong with that. Yeah,
it's kind of
just
horny.
Kinda
he's got like barbed wire in his mouth.
Yeah.
And he's naked and cradling another woman. Or actually, she's cradling him.
That one, that one is interesting. Kind of androgynous.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something about that one. Are you talking about the one where there's also one where he's wearing like a coat and he has like that teenage boy haircut? Justin, you definitely had it. And all of our friends back in like 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he's got a very alternative kind of haircut for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was 8. Says he was at least 18 at the time. So, yeah, I mean that does seem. He's only like 6 years older than us, which is pretty funny. Or 7 years for you guys.
Evan's so much older than us.
Yeah, right.
Let me play another clip. This one he briefly addresses some of his critics.
We have so little trust in people in elected office. Like I read about people and I see their decisions and I ascribe such and such motives to them, and then I'm like, wait a minute, like other people are doing that to me and I find it annoying. I should chill.
Who's ascribing motives to you, Rob? Certainly not us.
I mean, yeah, he has no motives whatsoever. He's just being like the most like performative politician I think I've ever seen, as far as like driving around with a truck with the deer heads mounted on it and shit.
This next clip, I'm a little unclear on the science of what he's describing in this clip, so I was wondering if you two could maybe shed some light on what the hell he's talking about.
So electricity in the daytime is expensive. Electricity at night is cheap. This is true everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
Your air conditioning only clicks on in the daytime when it's getting hot. And once it's on, it both creates coldness and blows the coldness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can take half of that, the creation of coldness, and move it to nighttime electricity by basically building like a giant ice machine underground. And so
Wow.
you make all your ice at night with cheap electricity. And then when your AC kicks on, you click on a fan, and then you're only needing to do the fan part.
So he's describing, I forget which town this was in, but there's a town where they did this in their courthouse. They have a courthouse chiller, he called it. And this was like their idea to save money. And his auditor's office was like promoting it, I guess.
Interesting. I mean, I've heard of heat pumps for warming your house, like using geothermal. You just dig straight down to the ground and get the heat out of the ground. That's like a really cost-effective way to heat your house. And like, it's really a good thing to do. I've never heard of this, but like, it's really funny. Like, the reason why it's more expensive is because like people use electricity. It's because they're running the air conditioners during the day because it's hot, or they're awake and they're using electricity. It's like kind of like that's why it's more expensive. Is because there's like way more demand on
stress on the system. Yeah. But like my air conditioner doesn't only kick on during the day if it's really hot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I doing it wrong?
I don't know.
But so you make ice during the night, and then during the day you blow the coldness off of the ice into the rest of your house.
But how does the ice stay cold? Like, I guess you insulate it really well. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, here's further discussions of innovations and stuff like that.
Do you consider yourself to be an innovator?
I guess I would have to say no in a way, because otherwise my immediate answer to that question would be yes.
He's really struggling with these softballs.
No, otherwise, yes.
I'm aware.
Yeah,
I'm too self-aware to answer this question honestly.
I guess so I don't appear overly smug, I have to say no, right?
But I do imply that I do feel that way. Yes, I am.
I'm lying to you. Openly. And then this is how he follows up that question. He does elaborate. If you weren't satisfied by the no, yes, here's the rest of it.
I would consider myself a do-gooder, which I realize is not fashionable these days, but I would consider myself a do-gooder. I want to do good.
Yeah.
And sometimes
calling yourself a do-gooder is not fashionable. Actually doing good is probably always in fashion.
Try to do that and do good. So
I know it's not trendy to be a great person.
I'm pretty good though. Yeah. God, there's like 40 more seconds of that clip, but I'm not going to subject you to that. You got the point. This is about skepticism of public officials.
Because I'm in an elected office, I get hit with people's skepticism of me because I'm in an office.
Mm.
And we have this deep-seated, perhaps natural, but at this point counterproductive skepticism of the ability to do good and the ability to be good in an elected position.
So I feel like people are skeptical of elected officials and whether any good can come from these structures because we are able to observe and remember like what has happened. Like it's justified, right? I don't know what to take from this.
We've kind of moved past skepticism and we're more just like cognizant of how bad they are. I mean, they'd have to do a lot to just earn back our skepticism, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of like the good ones. I just hate like most of it.
I think there is actually a market for like bold, truth-telling politicians who actually like Rob is like he's transparent. I mean, like I'm just again thinking of like Bernie or any of the even squad members or whatever. Like they say things that are like true that people understand on some level, even if they don't necessarily are able to conceptualize or like verbalize it. And
it's no bullshit politics.
Yeah, well, and it comes down to, like, again, capitalism and the government being a front for the bourgeoisie. I mean, like, it's like, that's just what it is. And, like, more people are recognizing that in one way or another. You see with all the anti-elite rhetoric, like, that's not going away. Like, things have to actually materially change for that to go away. It's just going to get louder. It's not, like, neither party is really doing much to, like, push that away, you know?
Well, I think, like, a lot of politicians, they may say things when they campaign, and then, like, probably one of Rob Sand's heroes, Barack Obama, they pivot to the middle and they're not willing to fight for what they campaigned on.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's kind of a dumb observation when he's literally on a podcast called The Moderate Podcast. But it just seems like a lot of elected officials moderate to the, not even the middle, to the right.
Yeah.
Like they don't even, they start with their position already compromised when they come to negotiate.
Yeah, well, Rob doesn't even use, like, progressive rhetoric. Like, the
That's
marketing
true, yeah.
he's putting out there is, like, centrism.
Yeah. He's saying the problem is that things are too politicized and too polarized, but it's, like, not really acknowledging why that is and why people are dissatisfied. And it's, like, literally because of, well, I mean, I would say that it's because, like, both parties, again, represent corporate interests before anything else. And, I mean, again, a lot of people can't verbalize that, but they do understand on some level that, like, the deck is stacked against them and that the government is not doing much to change that.
And I guess one more thing that I thought of while we were discussing that is, like, people's skepticism isn't really stopping you from doing anything, Rob. Like, you are the one in office. You have the power, and, like, people doubting you, like, who cares? Like, we're just people. Like, you can, I don't know, prove us wrong, I guess.
Don't worry, though. The people that look most like us, those local officials who are skimming a couple $1,000s off the, he's going after them, but not the folks who are at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he just does not come across as authentic. He doesn't come across as, he comes across as someone who's, again, trying to increase his relevance and increase his political power for his own benefit.
Here's one of his ideas to reform our electoral systems.
I'm a big advocate for electoral reform. I really like the idea of open primaries where independents get an equal right to participate, and then ranked choice voting in the general so that your choices are not just the lesser of two evils.
Do you feel that this would change anything?
No. I mean, I think literally it would end up with, we have open primaries. So, like, the idea is, like, literally to get the most moderate milquetoast candidates into the primaries, because, like, it's would consolidate power for people like Rob and make it less likely for I don't know. There's other examples, and ultimately I don't think it would make much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, we functionally already have that in our state, at least. Like, as long as you're willing to register briefly as a party, you can participate.
Which you can do on site
nomination
until they change that, but still.
Yeah, but he goes pretty hard at, like, advocating for open primaries and ranked choice later on in the podcast, so we'll have more chances to discuss the specifics. But this clip I labeled "personal attacks." I don't really remember what it's about. I'm sure it's fun.
While people are happy to push back on me in aspects that are personal, and that's not fun.
That's not fun at all.
I still think a lot of it is just rooted in the fact that, like, we hate our political system, and so we end up having, like, a dislike of kind of anyone that's in it to some degree, which is sad.
That's what he says to himself every night.
I don't think it's sad. Like,
it's not that they don't like me. It's that they don't like politics. They don't care that I drink milk with every meal.
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to get yourself dirty joining that system, like, you deserve it. People aren't going to like you. It's not sad. It's predictable. Here's a clip called "Balance."
You know, you're your district, your state has to be truly so balanced for there to be any accountability.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's just the letter behind your name, and that determines, whether or not you get to stay in office or not, and whether or not you get primaried or not.
Balance between what again? Like, I mean, I know he's saying we need Democrats and Republicans to hold each other accountable, but it's like, again, like their ideological like underpinnings are like 75% the same. It's like, I mean, yeah, there's the hard fucking anti-LGBT stuff that the Democrats don't do, but like again, when push comes to shove, and it comes to material changes, they block it.
Yeah, and I personally would prefer not having balance on the more fringe stuff like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't think it, like, in practice, what he's saying here is reality at all. Like, I guess, you can point to like the California Democrats or the New York Democrats too. Like the states that are super, super blue, the party is also like pretty corrupt.
Yeah, pretty corrupt. Very corrupt.
But also, I don't see how like a partisan balance really improves things in the few places where that still exists. And I'm trying to think of like an example.
We have a very balanced federal government right now, don't we? The Democrats control the executive, Republicans control the lower house, Democrats control the upper house, Republicans control the Supreme Court. Oh, I'm sorry, that's non-political, never mind. But like nothing happens.
I'm not seeing a whole lot of accountability as a result.
Yeah. No, I'm just seeing more like hot potato shit, like this is your fault, no, this is your fault. Bullshit, right. Which again, they believe the same things mostly, which people hate to hear that, but like it's so fucking true. Economics wise, at least.
If they were to hold each other accountable in real ways, they would also be holding themselves accountable, so they don't do it. Like, they're all guilty of mostly the same crimes.
Yeah.
Electoral future. Yeah, I don't remember what this is, but let's hear it.
Everywhere I go, I find people who are in the political minority in where they live, whose elected representatives treat them like garbage. Because they know that person has no actual impact on their electoral future.
Mm-hmm.
That's very ironic.
Believe we invited you on this podcast, Rob.
Come talk to the garbage. Get down in the pit.
Rob has been 100,000% more willing to reach out to Republicans than he has to anyone on the left. Anyone who's like on the like actual, again, economic left, as far as, or I mean, even racial, like, yeah, the Jalen Cavill shit, like, who knows who he's talking to behind closed doors. What we talked about with Brian McLean about how his John McCormley, I think is his name, who is like working with Rob Sand, is like one of the Iowa Democrats doing this rule change to put more power in the hands of elected officials versus the actual state central committee.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, and I think he's doing the same calculation in his head that engaging with his critics would not be an electoral gain for him. Like, we are either irrelevant to his calculations or could only be a net negative.
Yeah.
And that's why he doesn't engage with that kind of criticism.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, like, we're probably representing a fringe view. It's becoming more popular, but like, again, it's not going away until things like people are not going to like get less mad. Like, things are going to get worse, and people are going to get madder because there's no like things moving in a positive direction away from like the central problem of capitalism.
You can just really see, like, he is a guy who got a political science degree in 2005. Like, it's all like this, like, the calculations going on in his head and how he thinks about people and electoral politics and everything. It's just...
Yeah. If he thinks it would hurt his career in the short or medium term, then he's not going to engage. He's not going to do anything that, like, puts his head on the chopping block where people are going to be like... I mean... people are upset at him anyway, just because he's just inauthentic and like doing like exactly like I said, he's never putting his neck on the line. He's taking like the safest choices at every possibility.
Mm-hmm.
We've had enough moderates. Like this is like kind of why we're at where we're at is because like I mean,
Yeah.
years of neoliberalism on both sides of the aisle.
And ceding to the right.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip a couple of these, but because Stella brought up his political science degree in the mid-2000s, here's a little clip about his time at college.
When I was in college, I went to Brown, super liberal school in Rhode Island. I actually found that I was like not hearing enough of, in terms of my education. Obviously, it existed in the world, but in my education, I wasn't seeing enough studying of conservative thought.
I knew it.
conservatism.
Oh my
I knew it. You
And
know,
so
oh my God, you fucking
one of the
idiot.
wonderful
Fuck
things
this
at Brown
guy.
is you can make a clap.
So he goes on to say that he designed a class on conservative thought and recruited a local conservative columnist to be like the guest professor for this class that he designed.
I'm not
Jesus.
hearing enough from conservatives in. How much did you hear about like Marxism or like any like
Yeah.
they don't even really teach. I don't know about Brown in particular, but
Yeah.
I guess he wasn't an economics guy either. But it's like, yeah, they don't fucking teach any sort of like actual like leftist theory stuff at all.
No. And do you think this kind of talk made him really popular when he was on the runway in Milan and Paris? Like,
I love that he calls Brown a super liberal school.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure it is in some like social ways, but like every Ivy League school is fundamentally conservative in the ways that matter. Right? Like they
Classical liberalism is conservatism.
have centuries long traditions of just being exploitative pieces of shit.
Yeah. Liberal means you support the free market. Like you might support all of the other stuff too, but you still support the free market. And our argument is that you can't have both. Like you
Yeah.
can't have the civil rights without the economic rights.
Yeah. Let's get down to it. He tells us what his ideology is in the following clip. So no more beating around the bush. This is his guiding light. This is what he believes.
I want to believe things that are true. Like to me, my
I want to
ideology
believe.
is mostly towards, again, like doing good and like believing in the truth.
So
Oh,
there you
wow.
go. Two fundamental things. I want to believe the truth and be good. That is
Yeah.
my ideology.
I hate this shit about truth too. Like what the fuck does it matter? People know the truth. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. If we've learned anything.
Without in the absence of any like action toward like yeah, you can describe the current conditions, but like that doesn't help like move things forward.
You can get thousands and thousands of people to stand outside and scream the truth at the people who have the power to change like conditions, and then it's too hard.
Yeah.
We don't care enough.
It's like that's not what politics isn't about truth. Like it's really
No,
not. It's
obviously.
about material reality and like facilitating like human productivity. Like it's,
yeah. I believe in things that are good, like the truth, rainbows,
What an easy answer.
ponies.
This is all just pandering. Like I didn't mention on the college thing, but it's like again just complete pandering to like the exact conservative framing of the arguments that is like literally being used to feed into all of this anti-trans shit. Or like all the liberal indoctrination in our colleges bullshit, which is like ridiculous, absurd.
Fellow Brown alumni Andrew Yang
Oh, really?
Good
Nice.
pull.
and John Krasinski, star of what I believe must be Rob Sand's favorite show, or second favorite after Parks and Rec.
Yeah, definitely. So given that he's been discussing like his centrism, his moderation throughout this whole episode, the host asks Rob why he is a Democrat specifically.
Good question. Yeah.
If he doesn't seem to have any sort of like ideological bent either way, why choose this one side? So here's his answer.
I'm proud of my beliefs. I'm proud of my values. I'm proud of, including among them, my willingness to revisit them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, a guy who grew up in a small town, whose religious faith is important to him, who likes to hunt and fish, like a lot, whose fiscally focuses on fiscal responsibility. You know, I had formative experiences that made me think that the Democratic Party was a better fit given two choices, right? I remember watching when I was like 16, Bill Clinton in the State of the Union brag about balancing the budget and paying down the debt. And I was like, sweet, thank you, because I don't want to pay for what my parents are doing, you know? And so that was something where I was like, all right,
I don't want to pay for what my parents are doing.
I don't think it's going to be a problem for you, Rob.
Oh my God. Wow. His lived experience really, really bringing him to the Democratic Party. Wow. That is so telling.
Yeah, I just love how he plays all the hits, and then he's like, I guess Bill Clinton is why.
Yeah, because he wanted to balance the budgets.
You would think I would be a Republican as a religious white man from Decorah, Iowa. But no.
You forgot
Bill
he hunts
Clinton
and
balanced.
fishes.
Yeah. As someone who loves to see the life, you know, fall out of a creature that I've killed's eyes, you would think I would be a Republican, but no.
Yeah, it's just so superficial. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he really doesn't know any better. Maybe we've really been wrong about him the entire time, and really he does think on this superficial of a level.
I've never been inspired by anything I've heard in a State of the Union speech. I think I'm maybe a level of consciousness above him.
You were watching the State of the Union at 16?
Fuck
All right,
no.
bro.
My dad might have been. I may have caught a few seconds of it at the time.
I'm sorry. I know, like, we need to move on, but the fact that, like, we're living in a state with all this, like, anti-trans bullshit and anti-choice bullshit, like, I mean, things are getting so bad for so many people here. And he says that he supports the Democratic Party because of something that Bill fucking Clinton said in the 90s. Are you kidding me? Like, that's so offensive.
That's offensive.
It's a fucking dance. Like, just the way he dances around. Like, that would have, of course it would have been like 100 times better answer to say, because, like, Democrats want to protect people's, like, bodily autonomy. Like,
yeah.
And
answer.
he goes for the one answer that is basically, again, accepting the entire Republican framing of fiscal
the focus
responsibility.
Group,
whatever that
groups
means.
I've
like,
tested.
He's not getting into
really
specifics.
Cool that I hunt. Jesus.
Yeah, you know what a fiscally responsible government would do? Raise taxes on the fucking wealthy. Like,
yeah,
on your father-in-law.
Set up a universal healthcare system that is far less wasteful and takes care of everybody. That's pretty fiscally responsible.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
It just doesn't benefit a small, like, cartel of freaks, so it can't be done.
We didn't go to Brown University, so maybe tell me why not, like, Bill Clinton, a baby boomer, made it so that we don't have to pay for our parents and grandparents. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll actually have, like, more of a financial burden, like, because of the deregulation and just, like, destruction
100%.
of all social services. I'm probably gonna have to spend more money to take care of my parents.
We're gonna have to. Our parents are not, like, that's a huge issue.
I mean, to say nothing of the cost of, like, the ecological, the failings that are going to lead to the destruction and, like, ability for our planet to be habitable. He's heard one speech and that was it.
The whole moderate philosophy is just, like, based, like, they're the fucking frogs in the pot of boiling water that aren't jumping out because they've been in it at the end. They were in it from the beginning. Like, they're not. It's just complete ignorance of, like, the ambient conditions around them. And, like, I mean, again, maybe he really doesn't know any better, but it's like, I don't believe it.
He said
he knows
he's
exactly
willing
what
to
he's
revisit
doing.
his beliefs, but he says
Clearly, yeah.
again also that his beliefs are founded in a speech from 1996 or whatever. Like, what
2001
the fuck?
at the very latest.
Yeah, that's another thing that really irritates me is, like, if you have, like, a more radical view of things, it's because, like, you didn't think it through. Like, these moderates have really thought through everything, and it's not like we have a radical position because, like, we've actually thought through more of the consequences of, like, the current, like, situation. Like,
Yeah.
you become a radical because you think more about these sort of things and deeper about them,
Yeah.
and like
it's
question
about,
things that you've been told your entire life.
It's
by both
about
parties.
class interest too, because he benefits more from like continuing the status quo, and we don't.
Sure. Yeah, well, yeah. It's very hard to change things. There's a whole different schools of thought about that. I don't know. Yeah, we're arguing about electoral politics on this podcast again, so
Here we go.
yeah. What can you do?
A really dark reading, of course, I think for liberals or for people who consider themselves moderate Democrats is that Rob Sand is a psyop, and he became a Democrat so that he could enforce conservative fiscal policies as a Democrat and at the state level. I mean,
Yeah, he's a double agent.
Hey, $95,000 to Kim Reynolds, $25,000 in 2022. I mean, he did give $700,000 to Rob in 2018, so the $95,000 was a little less, but
Yeah. Okay, so I promised earlier that he would give us a little bit more specifics about ranked choice, his preferred electoral reforms. So let's hear a little bit more about his ideas.
Imagine this: a ranked choice system in a super Democratic district, and you have the Democrat in there who's kind of a bully and treats people rudely, and then you have another Democrat who's running who's like, hey, I agree with this person on the issues, but I think that we shouldn't be jerks to each other because it actually makes it harder for us to solve our problems.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Republican. In a ranked choice system, it depends on what the breakdown is of how partisan the system is. But those Republicans will have the opportunity to vote for the Republican to say, look, I am a Republican and I want to support this person. But also, as my second choice, I want someone who will respond to my emails and acknowledge the fact that I'm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And so for their second choice, they'll have the freedom to express that part of themselves, to say, okay, yeah, I'm a Republican, but also I'm a believer in kindness. And so if I can't get a Republican, I at least want a Democrat that is a decent person.
this is bullshit.
Simple as that. I love how this hypothetical changes.
That's
Yeah, what happens in a red district, Rob? What happens in a heavily red district? You get
he's not my first choice, but Hitler's a vegetarian, he loves dogs, so.
And that's really the only difference in ideology, is that some people want to be mean. And again, it's like he's talking about people being mean to people in positions of power who honestly should fucking live with shame and fear every day of their lives. To be honest.
Yeah,
I guess that's mean to say, but
these two hypothetical Democratic candidates, there's zero daylight between them on the issues.
Yeah,
the difference was
there's no
one is nice and one is rude.
Yeah, I'm just going to vote for the person who's a decent person.
This is
because
why you
decent
want
people
this, Rob?
never get upset or say things like in an impassioned tone.
I want
bullshit.
I want to elect a piece of shit who believes the same things that I do and will be a dick about it. That's what I want.
See, I want someone who is
I wouldn't even say
equally
that, but-
evil, but better at hiding it.
Yeah.
On the political stage.
Yes. But it's just, why are you so passionate about this if that's the end goal, is to have nicer people in office? Who gives a shit? And that's how he thinks of himself, of course. He's the nice guy who won.
You know what they say about nice guys?
They barely win.
Yeah.
And then that's like near the end of the episode. So I just have this one last clip from the Moderate Party podcast to play for you.
Hell yeah.
That's the whole thing. They have 7 seconds of music for their show. It's so short.
I'm pretty sure that's like I'm sure I've heard that before. It sounds like
Public domain.
Yeah, royalty-free stuff.
It may have appeared on our podcast before in a campaign ad. I don't know.
It probably that's probably what it is.
It might have been that. You remember the clip of Marionette Miller Meeks at like the tailgating event? It might have been in
Oh,
there.
the football one. Yeah.
It may be the
It
same
could
music.
be the same.
I'll go back and check. Hey, yeah, I went back and checked, and it wasn't that music. So if you remember what that music is from, please let us know.
There's definitely like a little cottage industry for a dad rock band that makes all of that music.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all we got from Rob Sand today, but we do have a couple voicemails I would like to play for you. Our phone number is 319-849-8733. You too, listening right now, you could also call us and say things like this.
Lord God, this is Trav Nipper calling again because Grant needs to have tomorrow and Sunday off from work. He ate a Tootsie Roll, God, that he found in the grass, and Antifa had put fentanyl in it, which has given him vaccines, Lord God, vaccine shakes, and also boners, God. We ask God that the restaurant and God send care and aid workers to Grant to help him with his wiping and help him find his confidence again, Lord God. Grant was wondering if the restaurant could also give him a few weeks' pay in advance so he can buy the Game Face ASR GTH electric full auto airsoft Thompson submachine gun and Lancer Tactical Nightshade high kappa gas blowback airsoft pistol, lightweight, full metal slide, high FPS in the black and gold colors. And Lord God, we please ask that you stop the diarrhea problem from him, and may Satan's hands be off of his digestion and give him what he needs to succeed as a man and in this industry. Thank you, Lord God. Amen.
And also with you.
Was that directed at us, or was he praying?
I think that was a prayer.
I think we have to forward his message to God.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I will email that to the proper authorities.
Prayer warriors assemble. We do have a platform, so everyone, if you'll please join hands. And
the power of prayer is amplified with many pairs of hands. So if you're listening and you're the praying type, please forward Trab's concerns for his brother onto the Lord on high, please. He did say that Grant needed work off. I believe his quote was tomorrow and Sunday. And this was left February 13th. So I'm sorry to say, I believe Grant has been fired for no call, no showing at the Rock Hard Cafe. Really nothing we can do about that at this point. So
Grant,
have you tried the Nipper family?
Have you tried applying at Pizza Ranch? This is a very upstanding Christian organization, and there's a lot of them. So if they don't hire you one, you can always go to the next one, next town over.
There's a new, what's that barbecue place that's opening in Coralville? They're seeking managers right now. Jethro's.
Yeah, Jethro's. Didn't realize they were expanding in the eastern Iowa.
Yeah. They're taking over the old Chicago building in Coralville. So Trab and Grant, while I will not be able to restore Grant's employment at the Rock Hard Cafe, I am happy to provide a reference to either of those establishments that we just talked about. So feel free to reach out for that. On to the next voicemail. This is an interesting one. So it goes on like that for a full minute. Can you tell? It sounds like some kind of animal. I don't know if you could identify that. And I didn't have the phone number in my phone, so I'm not sure like who it is. Because I know certain people have certain pets, so that would have helped. But I don't know who this is or what kind of animal it is. Let me play it again for a few seconds.
Or maybe some kind of mechanical it sounds like a sound maybe your car would make.
Yeah, like that.
And like the check engine light comes on.
It's not quite turning over,
It sounds kind of like a ferret, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stinky.
I was
very
initially
stinky.
I thought maybe a bird, but I don't know.
Bird too. Yeah, could be.
Yeah. Anyway, feel free to have your pets call in as well. I have nothing against that. And we got one more.
Woof woof woof.
That was after I tweeted
another
about,
pet.
Yeah. I tweeted that we received a call from an animal, and we got another one right there, woofing at us. That one I actually did have the phone number in my phone. That was from Noah Peterson calling in to bark at us.
Oh, nice.
I'm glad he called because I did want to mention that he had some recent good news. I talked to him briefly on the podcast like a few months ago. If you heard a brief conversation with Noah Peterson, I think I titled that in the podcast feed. He had been arrested at a Newton City Council meeting early October, and I was talking to him about that. And then I attended the following meeting where he was arrested again. And the charges for that first meeting in early October were, I think he was found not guilty, like he went to trial. And then the second arrest, which I filmed, and I created the only existing documentation of that arrest because the city of Newton turned off their cameras shortly before they had the cops arrest Noah.
In the middle of the meeting, too, right? Like,
yeah.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
Enjoy paying out that settlement, assholes.
Yeah, for real. They chose to drop the charges in that case because they were going to lose again.
Shout out to all Antifa super soldiers, including Noah, whose DNA has been spliced with canine DNA in order. And shout out to Justin for recording that.
Yeah, so happy that, who knows? Because I made the only video of what happened.
I would consider that an act of doing good.
I'm a do-gooder, everybody. But yeah, I also got the mayor talking after like Noah was brought out by the cops. The mayor said like specifically like go do your activism where somebody cares. So he like made it explicit that it was like because of the content of his speech. That's why he was being arrested. It's like a clear violation, and he gave me the evidence.
Yeah, I'm starting to think
Mayor.
people in power just don't like being criticized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
City council meetings, no place for local activism.
Ridiculous. I mean, they're obviously not going to like listen to him and do anything that Noah says.
Right, yeah.
So just fucking
gotta
let him talk for a minute.
Yeah.
If it was so threatening to you, it's not it's ridiculous. There's no threat to them. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's good that they failed in their their attempts to fuck up his life. Grateful for that, at least. Again, our phone number is 319-849-8733. Tell us about the petty tyrants who run your local government. Let's shine a light on all of these freaks.
And Justin will maybe show up at your next city council meeting to record for posterity any interactions you have with aforementioned freaks.
Yes, give my email address to your lawyers and I will help your case as well.
I wonder if Rob is brave enough to start auditing police departments in the state.
Oh, man. I
would be willing to bet.
Completely turn
I'm
around.
willing to bet that there is a fair amount of fraud going on in police departments across the state.
I would let so much stuff go if he went in that direction.
Yeah.
I got a few events coming up that I want our listeners to know about, if you don't mind me talking about my own shit for a minute. I'm playing a show at The Lift in Des Moines this week, the 23rd. That's Thursday, right?
Yes.
Yes, this Thursday.
It is, yes.
This Thursday at The Lift in Des Moines, I will be sitting in with the Adams/Merbach duo. That's Alexander Adams and Alex Merbach. I'm going to play saxophone, and we'll also have drums and guitar, I believe. I mentioned before, I've never played with these guys before, so it'll be seat of our pants. We're going to be,
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Have you been to the Lift before?
I don't think I have.
I have not either.
Cool. Yes. Oh, that's one of my favorite Des Moines haunts. When I lived in Des Moines, that was one of my favorite places to go. They have good martinis and they have good art usually hanging up on the walls and support live music. So hell yeah.
And I believe it's kind of a pay what you want scenario. So, it's not going to break your bank to come see me and look at art and drink a martini.
Yeah. The gas lamp is closing in Des Moines, which is another. There's like very few. It's really like XBK and I I guess the Lift. I don't know. There's like very few small like entry level venues anymore.
Yep. Battalion of Cloud Ships, Sex Funeral, and Suddy are also playing that show at the Lift on the 23rd. And then after that, I'll be back here in Iowa City hosting an I Hear IC show on February 26th at the Close House on Gilbert Street. That's the big mansion that Public Space One runs now. That'll be Mars Ohelia, Drop Bear, that's me and my friend Gabby Vanek, Rachel Saint, and Robin Groth. And then a couple weeks after that, another show in Iowa City, Ligament. That's my friends Will Yeager and Annika Kildegard. They live in Baltimore and Philadelphia now, but they're coming to Iowa City. They're going to play a show together at the James on March 7th. And there will be opening solo performances from me and Christine Burke. All three of those shows will be weird and fun. So if you like weird, fun things, be there. Well, if that everything, do we have anything else we need to talk about?
Go blank yourselves.
Well, I don't think we said it on the actual podcast, but we got to thank Stella for coming back after her ordeal.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I major life announcement. I got transition lenses, so
it's hard to look at a computer screen with the new glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, and they made me look like a big dork.
That's okay.
Yep.
We're all big dorks here.
Yeah, she put the baby in the closet for an hour so we could record. And so, yeah, thankful to him and the family.
Drawer.
I should mention our Patreon, since Evan and I are going to do something really fun soon. We just read a book that's super crazy. So go to patreon.com/rockhardcaucus and you can hear us review Iowa Trouble very soon. I guess we'll probably start that in the next couple weeks, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm so
pretty open. So
yeah,
and I've started on my journey of actually getting through the book. It's a whirlwind.
Yeah,
very very well written book.
Whiplash, tonal whiplash,
tonal whiplash.
And you'll also find the series reviewing Steve King's Walking Through the Fire.
So good.
With Gavin Aronson of the Iowa Informer. We're going to record a bonus episode of that this week sometime with a bunch of news interviews and stuff that Steve did promoting his book. Well, we're going to close out with some music from my friend Ion Alexakis.
You don't want to play that 7-second clip of...
I'll put that at the very end. I'll put that after this song by Ion. Yeah, he's been my friend for a few years now. We've been working together, and he engineered the Unblessed Rest of Us album and stuff. Yeah, good guy. And here's his song "Broken Glass." And if you are an Iowa musician and you would like your music to appear at the end of an episode, go to rockhardcock.us and there's a link near the top where you can submit music. Thank you.
Text me your screen name so audibly intoxicating. Find me on the delay, we low down. It's the here we there we crave. The world on your plate, they feed out my praise. This cold hard cash is all that I have. Asleep on broken glass, overstimulated, watch chemically react. Staying idle. God bless America. I'm raising up my hands to show the love I gave to her. What's on they love? Scream of Phoenix or your better stuff. She'd open up my brain and start picking out their